blog, because y'all ain't in these comedy streets. Y'all don't know us comics who in the comedy streets. Any say, Katt, this funky went on my podcast and was talking about Katt.
The buzz around Katt Williams lately is off the charts. It's like ever since he showed up on the Club Shay Shay podcast, it's been nothing short of a blessing for him. You know Katt, he's always been unapologetically outspoken, calling people out left and right for years. But this year, it's like a whole new ball game. It feels like everyone's rallying behind him, like he's got this massive army of supporters, both from the public and big names in the industry, ready to go to bat for him at the drop of a hat. And when someone even tries to whisper something negative, they better watch out because Katt doesn't even need to lift a finger with that kind of backing. Now let's talk about Corey Holcomb jumping into the ring. Word on the street is he's speaking out about how Katt's been treated in Hollywood. Being a comedian himself, Corey's been in the trenches of the industry, so he knows firsthand how rough it can be for someone like Katt. It's like Katt's been shouting from the rooftops about the shady side of the industry for ages, talking about the darkness lurking within the industry. And it's not just the bigwigs he's calling out. No, he's pointing fingers at his own peers, saying they're part of the problem for turning a blind eye to the shady stuff going on. It's like they're inadvertently enabling the whole messed up system to keep on trucking. And finally, it seems someone like Corey is stepping up to shine a brighter light on it and explain why Katt's been so vocal about all this. It's like peeling back layers of an onion, revealing the ugly truth underneath. So let's dive in. All right, so we all know Katt's been riding high on that wave of support ever since his sit down on Club Shay Shay, right? But let's be real, not everyone's been throwing confetti and cheering him on. Nope, there's been a fair share of criticism and downright hate tossed his way, especially from fellow comedians. Some of it's probably just light ribbing, but there's definitely been some heavy shots fired too. Now here's where Corey Holcomb steps into the ring. The man is like the voice of reason in all this chaos. Sure, he's cracked a joke or two at Katt's expense, but at the end of the day, it's clear he's got love for the guy. Corey's been in Katt's corner, defending him time and time again. And he's doing it once again when a woman named Cookie Hull shows up in the scene. She's a comedian who used to roll with Katt back in the day. Now she's making some pretty serious accusations. She's out there on the DC Curry show, claiming Katt swiped her gas joke and even dropping a bombshell about him allegedly being violent towards women.
Man,
You toured with Katt.
yeah, I toured with him. That's why that gas joke is my joke. That's my joke. You know, the reason I got away from Katt is because Katt beat women.
Take your time now. Wait a minute. Take time.
Whoa, what?
But here's the kicker. A lot of folks aren't buying what Cookie's selling. They're calling foul, saying she's just stirring the pot with no receipts to back up her claims. And why now, right? I mean, Katt's on top of the world with his career hitting new heights. It's got people raising their eyebrows and questioning her motives. Also, Corey did not hold back when it came to calling out Cookie. I mean, he went in hard with some brutal words. He straight up called her out, no sugarcoating whatsoever. He's like, who does this woman think she is? Corey didn't mince words, tagging her with some harsh labels and even throwing in a few personal jabs about her appearance. And it's not just about the allegations either. Corey's got some serious beef with her claiming to be this big shot writer when, according to him, she hasn't penned a thing worth mentioning. He's even claiming she swiped some of his own material.
About Katt, I was like, the nerve of this funky. She claimed to be a writer. She ain't funny. She's a hack. Unfortunately, Katt had this around him, and when I tell you this used to dress and look like Katt.
But here's the kicker. Corey's not alone in his skepticism. A lot of people are side-eyeing Cookie's motives and questioning her credibility. It's like, why bring all this drama into the spotlight now, especially when Katt's riding high on his success? Now, on to Katt himself. His journey in the entertainment industry hasn't exactly been a walk in the park. He's had his fair share of ups and downs, navigating through success and controversy. So let's dive deep into the whirlwind that is Katt Williams' life and career. Micah Williams, born on September 2nd, 1971 in Cincinnati, Ohio, grew up in Dayton, Ohio, under the care of his Jehovah's Witness parents. He had an unconventional upbringing, learning to read at the tender age of 3 and mastering multiple languages, including French and Creole. During his formative years, Micah spent a significant portion of time in Haiti on religious mission trips with his family. However, his childhood wasn't without its challenges. To escape from his abusive father, Micah emancipated himself from his parents' guardianship at the age of 13 and sought refuge refuge in Florida. Despite finding himself homeless and living in a park, he managed to support himself by working as a street vendor. Throughout these tumultuous times, Micah remained steadfast in his faith, striving to maintain his connection with God. Micah's journey into the world of comedy began in the Avondale neighborhood of Cincinnati, where he started performing his routines. He tirelessly honed his comedic skills by taking his act to clubs across the country, gradually establishing himself as a formidable comic presence. By 1999, he had made a mark in the comedy circuit, gracing renowned venues such as the Improv, the Comedy Club, the Ice House, and Hollywood Park Casino. Notably, he gained recognition on BET's Comic View under the moniker Katt Williams. In 2006, Micah starred in his inaugural comedy special, Let a Play, marking his entry into the world of televised comedy. The same year saw him land his first HBO stand-up special with The Pimp Chronicles PT1, further solidifying his status as a prominent comedian. The following year, he ventured into the world of film, co-writing, and starring in the comedy Katt Williams' American Hustle, which garnered critical acclaim and propelled him into the mainstream comedy scene. Continuing his momentum, Micah released his second HBO comedy special, It's Pimpin' Pimpin' in 2008, further cementing his reputation as a comedic force to be reckoned with. Amidst a flurry of activity, including the release of comedy DVDs and extensive touring, Micah's comedy tour was lauded as the best of 2008 by Billboard. Following a hiatus of 4 years, Williams made a comeback to the stand-up scene in 2012 with his third HBO comedy special, Katt Packalypse. However, his return was accompanied by a whirlwind of events, including a bizarre incident at a Seattle bar that led to his brief stint in jail. Despite this setback, he initially announced his retirement from stand-up comedy, only to retract his statement 3 days later, signaling his intent to continue performing. In late 2013, Williams embarked on his Growth Spurt tour, marking another chapter in his comedy career. Then, on August 16, 2014, he graced the screens once more with a new HBO special titled Katt Williams' Priceless Afterlife, directed by the renowned filmmaker Spike Lee. Fast forward to September 2015, Williams made waves with his announcement of the Conspiracy Theory Tour during an interview. Describing the tour as an exploration of hidden information and forbidden topics, Williams expressed his intention to delve into controversial conversations that often go unaddressed. He positioned himself as a voice for urban communities, promising his audience an open discussion on pressing issues from then until their next encounter. In 2018, Williams continued to captivate audiences with the release of a new stand-up special on Netflix titled Great America, filmed in Jacksonville, Florida. And not one to slow down, he followed it up in 2022 with another Netflix special titled World War III. In 2002, Williams ventured into the realm of acting, marking his debut on the popular TV series NYPD Blue in its 10th season. This marked the beginning of a multifaceted career in entertainment, with Williams becoming best known for his portrayal of Money Mike in the film Friday After Next, 2002. He continued to showcase his acting chops in supporting roles in movies like Norbit, 2007, and First Sunday, 2008. Beyond the big screen, Williams expanded his presence in the entertainment industry. In 2003, he made an appearance in the official music video for Nick Cannon's single Gigolo, adding another dimension to his portfolio. Additionally, he became a regular on MTV's Wild 'N Out during its initial 3 seasons, further solidifying his status as a versatile performer. Williams's talents weren't limited to acting and comedy alone. He lent his distinctive voice to the character A Pimp Named Slickback in the animated series The Boondocks in 2007, showcasing his versatility as a voice actor. Furthermore, he made his mark in the gaming world by portraying an on-stage stand-up comedian in Grand Theft Auto 4, reprising elements of his routines from his comedy specials. Television continued to be a significant platform for Williams, with appearances on shows like My Wife and Kids, where he played the character Bobby Shaw, adding to his diverse repertoire. Additionally, he took on the role of Roast Master for the Comedy Central roast of Flavor Flav, showcasing his sharp wit and comedic prowess. In 2018, Williams scored a significant achievement with his portrayal of the character Willie in the Season 2 premiere of Atlanta, earning him the prestigious Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series. This accolade further cemented his reputation as a versatile performer capable of delivering standout performances across various mediums. Beyond his acting and comedy endeavors, Williams dabbled in music under the stage name Money Mike, collaborating with artists like Baby Bash, The Game, and Suga Free. He also briefly joined rapper Cameron's group The Diplomats in 2006, although he he was never formally signed as an official artist for the label. In 2009, Williams released his debut studio live album, It's Pimpin' Pimpin', showcasing yet another facet of his artistic talent. Additionally, he made headlines in 2013 with the release of a diss track aimed at Atlanta rapper Trinidad James, titled Lames in the Game, in response to comments made by James about the state of contemporary hip-hop music. On August 27, 2011, during a performance at the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, Katt Williams found himself embroiled in controversy after responding angrily to a heckler, reportedly of Mexican ancestry. His heated tirade included shouting, "So if you love Mexico, B, get the F over there." Following the incident, Williams defended his actions in an interview, attributing his response to the heckler's initial provocations, stating, "If a person starts their heckling with F America, then that gives me the right to defend my country." He remained unapologetic for his remarks, asserting, "I don't think I need to apologize for being pro-American." However, Williams' live performances in November 2012 were marred by further confrontational behavior. A performance at the Wells Fargo Theater in Denver on November 1st ended abruptly after Williams leaped off the stage to confront a heckler. Similarly, his November 16th performance at the Oracle Arena in Oakland ended in chaos as he engaged in a profanity-laced altercation with another heckler, ultimately requiring assistance from his own security to exit the stage. So, even though Katt's had his fair share of controversies, there are still folks out there who reckon that some of the stuff he's been saying about the entertainment biz and his fellow comedians might actually have some truth to it. Now let's dig in and see what he's been talking about. In January, Katt broke the internet with an explosive interview where he didn't mince words, calling out heavyweights and aired out all the dirty laundry. First up on the hit list is none other than Steve Harvey. Let's rewind the clock to December 2008 when Steve Harvey and Katt Williams found themselves in the headlines. These two haven't exactly been best buds for over a decade, and there's a story behind it. So Katt Williams decided to call out Steve Harvey right before a Christmas season show, and things got wild. Picture this: Jamie Foxx, who was a radio host at the time, throws shade into the mix by playing a clip of Williams dissing Steve Harvey. Katt, on the phone, goes on a rant saying, "I want to apologize for what's going to happen," hinting at their upcoming joint comedy gig. But here's the kicker: he drops the bomb, telling Steve that once he hits the stage, it's game over for him as the king of comedy. Steve Harvey then calls in, baffled by the whole situation. He tells Jamie and the crew, "I've always been cool with Katt," explaining that back in LA, he didn't even know who Katt Williams was. Imagine that, Steve Harvey asking, "Whoever Katt Williams is, call me." So, Katt Williams didn't hold back in the recent interview, laying into Steve Harvey. Katt straight up called out Steve for supposedly being jealous of Bernie Mac, spilling the tea on their years-long beef. According to Katt, Bernie felt Steve was trying to mess with his movie roles, even attempting to snatch a role in Ocean's 11, creating major tension. Katt went on to claim that Steve, in an appearance on Club Shay Shay, tried to act all nonchalant about not wanting to be a movie star. But according to Katt, Steve was secretly trying to compete with Bernie Mac for movie roles. And that's not all. Katt also accused Steve of stealing material from another comedian, Mark Curry, and allegedly lying about being homeless. In Katt's words, the same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now, Steve got a sitcom where he's the principal, wearing a suit and rocking a high-top fade, making all black men think he's got the best lineup in the business. And it's a man unit, not the real deal.
The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. It's the same Negro that hated on Bernie with this same thing. I didn't want to be a movie star. No, you couldn't be a movie star.
Katt also called Steve out for supposedly lying about being homeless, saying, "That's my story. That's not his story." Steve Harvey was never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. Katt didn't stop there, diving into Steve's marital history, claiming Steve said it was his first wife who got him where he is, then switched it up with the next wife, who thinks like a man. Katt questioned Steve's credibility and authenticity, especially when it comes to claiming to be the king of comedy. He even spilled that he was offered the chance to be the 4th king of comedy, but turned it down because of how Steve allegedly treated Bernie Mac. Katt said, "Because the whole time Bernie was here, you were acting like you were funnier than him. You stop it. That man was funnier than all of y'all." Katt's not holding back, calling Steve out on his claims and keeping it real about how comedy works.
This is like Steve Harvey telling people he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless.
Hold up, there's more to this Katt Williams saga. He might not just be blowing smoke. Guess who's supposedly backing him up? None other than Mark Curry. Yeah, that's right, Mark Curry's name is in the mix. So here's the scoop. Comedians really don't like it when someone swipes their jokes. And guess who's gotten on the wrong side of quite a few funny folks? Yep, our man Steve Harvey. In the wild world of showbiz, especially comedy, things can get messy real quick. Celebs borrowing each other's art, or in this case, straight up stealing jokes. It's like a comedy minefield. Mark Curry is making some noise, putting Steve Harvey on blast for allegedly lifting his material on a very public stage. Normally, when someone's throwing accusations around, it's because they're not exactly sitting on top of the success mountain, right? Well, that's not the case with Mark Curry. And that's what's keeping this whole Steve Harvey drama in the headlines. It's not your typical scenario. So, in a couple of recent chats, Mark spilled the beans, claiming that Steve Harvey straight up recycled his material for jokes on his shows. And this isn't a new beef. Mark's been throwing shade about Steve lifting his jokes way back when on Harvey's NBC talk show. All right, so there's this explosive video, and it's got Steve Harvey and Mark Curry tangled up in some serious comedy beef. Mark's claiming that Steve, who used to host Little Big Shots on NBC, swiped not one, but two of his jokes. And get this, Mark says he already confronted Steve about it in the past, but the alleged joke thievery kept happening.
The thing with Steve Harvey is that he used my material on both his platforms.
Yeah.
After I talked to him, I saw him at Def Jam, I went up and talked to him, I said, man, you're using my material.
Now Mark, who's 62, spilled the tea to TMZ, saying that Steve jacked his Halloween bit, a personal story about growing up, but Steve wasn't having any of it. He straight up denied the accusations, saying Mark couldn't even name the supposedly stolen joke. Things got heated real quick, with Steve telling Mark to get a life and get a career.
Mark Curry says that you're still stealing his jokes.
Hey man, listen to me.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting sick of this right here.
Yeah.
Mark Curry need to grow up.
Steve went on a rant saying he hasn't stolen a joke in 35 years and dared Mark to name the joke he's talking about. He even threw in a grow up man for good measure. But here's the kicker. Mark wasn't just making stuff up. The comedian came armed with receipts, proving his point and turning up the heat in this comedy feud. Mark Curry took his beef with Steve Harvey to Instagram and dropped some serious receipts in a video that's now deleted. Basically, he called out Steve for allegedly stealing a bunch of jokes from him for his show. In this video, Mark compared an episode from his 90s sitcom, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, where he talked about rocking a brown box as a UPS costume for Halloween. Surprise, surprise, Steve made the exact same joke in a 2015 episode of his show.
Bullshit talk show he had. And he did all my Halloween material one Halloween. I'm watching, somebody called me and said, man, homeboy doing your material. So he did my whole Halloween run.
All right, let's talk about the whole stealing joke scene. Another person Katt didn't hold back on was Cedric the Entertainer. He went in, calling Cedric a walrus and straight up accusing him of plagiarism. According to Katt, Cedric denied jacking his jokes by saying, "It don't line up," but Katt wasn't having any of it. He pointed out that he dropped the joke on TV in 2018, and Cedric supposedly came to see him at the Comedy Store doing it in 2019. And guess what? Cedric later did the same joke on the Kings of Comedy. Katt's like, what doesn't line up here? He even threw in that it was a televised joke, and Mark Curry played a part in punching it up to its prime.
Cedric told you when you asked him, did you steal Katt Williams' joke? Yeah. He said, it don't line up. How it don't line? 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the Kings of Comedy. And he's doing it verbatim. He's just changed my car into a spaceship. We found out he can't sing, can't dance, and doesn't write jokes. He did 4 comedy specials. They're so bad, Shannon, they're not available on Netflix or Tubi.
And that's not all. Katt didn't stop at Cedric. He swung back around to Steve Harvey before circling right back to Cedric. This time, he didn't pull punches, calling Cedric a walrus, and basically saying he's not living up to that entertainer title. Katt claimed Cedric can't sing, can't dance, and can't write jokes. Ouch. He even threw shade at Cedric's comedy specials, saying they're so bad they're not even on Netflix or Tubi. Now, next up on the list is Kevin Hart. For those of you who don't know about the ongoing showdown between Katt Williams and Kevin Hart, you might recall that the beef traces back to the 2008 film Fool's Gold. Williams was initially set to take the lead, but his legal issues at the time forced him to pass on the gig, which involved filming Down Under in Australia. Enter Kevin Hart, who swooped in and snagged the role instead. According to the grapevine, that's where the sparks of tension between Williams and Hart first ignited. Now, we're talking about more than a decade of simmering beef, folks. It's like a slow-cooked drama stew that's finally reaching its boiling point. Williams, with all his comedic flair, is now taking aim at Kevin Hart. When the topic of Kevin Hart came up in his conversation with Shannon, Katt straight up alleged that Hart might be an industry plant. He questioned the lightning speed of Kevin's success, highlighting how he landed a sitcom and led a movie, Soul Plane, all in his first year in Los Angeles. According to Katt, this raises eyebrows and makes Kevin's early history seem a bit like a mystery. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA, and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person, he continued saying. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definition of these words.
Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? What do you think a plant is?
Katt didn't shy away from getting into the nitty-gritty, expressing his concern about letting people who might not be truthful create their own narratives unchecked. He brought up the power imbalance, mentioning how liars have all the assets and resources, leaving the rest of the folks to play catch-up. Katt even challenged the idea that these resources factor in when it comes to the truth. In Katt's words, he expressed concern about letting individuals who might not be truthful create their own stories unchecked, especially when they have abundant resources. Despite the accusations, Katt seemed aware of the potential backlash, acknowledging that behind his back, he might be seen as a bitter and jealous comedian. When asked if he feared any backlash, Williams responded, "Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why, you know what the one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is to act like it didn't happen." So, Thursday morning rolls around, and guess what? Kevin Hart isn't one to take things lying down. He fired back at Katt Williams in a post shared on platform X, giving his take on the latest diss. Kevin didn't just clap back, he also took the opportunity to plug his newest project, which is set to hit Netflix. He said, "Gotta get that anger up out ya, champ. It's honestly sad. In the meantime, please enjoy my movie trailer to my next film, Lift, which will be dropping on Netflix in 8 days." Also, during an explosive rant on the Club Shay Shay podcast, Kevin Hart had this to say when asked about being called out by comedian Katt Williams. "You don't entertain the circus, you watch it. When a lion comes out and rides the bike, you don't think about it too hard. You just go, okay, that's crazy. The lion is riding a bike." And then you go home and enjoy the rest of your day. Hart responded during an interview with Fox 5's Kevin McCarthy about his new action comedy, Lift. "I don't feed into the stuff at all at the end of the day. It's all entertaining to a certain degree," Hart said. He added he's sure his fans will fact-check claims like the ones made against him by Williams. "I just don't have the time for it. There's too much going on," Hart said. Now let's talk Ludacris. Katt Williams went all out on his podcast episode, dropping some serious claims. According to Katt, both him and Ludacris were at a crossroads, invited to some Illuminati thing where one of them had to make a big decision. Apparently, they were equal at the start, but it came down to cutting off all their hair and ditching the sideburn game. The plot thickens when Katt spills that the next person in line was set to snag a cool $200 million, getting $10 million a pop for 20 movies. And guess what? That person turned out to be Ludacris.
Competition any more than you were when you lined up across from a superior team. Yeah, on paper, they're a better team.
Right.
They have all the assets and resources and we don't. But let us get on the line, boy.
And Katt Williams was the other player in the game. Oh, but Katt didn't stop there. He got personal. He threw some shade at Luda's wife, Eudoxia Mbugyengwe, calling her Luda's light-skinned, ugly-face wife.
And see if that factors in. I guarantee you it won't.
Wow.
Because Shannon Sharp gotta be a different person than that other person.
Now, Luda didn't take that lying down. Nope, he hit back with some fire, dropping a freestyle over Kanye West's Devil in a New Dress beat. Luda spitting bars like, "Never been Illuminati, only ill Luda naughty / and I only left with B when coming from any party." The online crowd was all over it, showing some love for Luda's lyrical comeback. And it didn't stop there. Luda got real about life. He rapped about being married with kids, the evolution of his journey, no clout chasing, no saying stuff for likes. He's all about that authentic vibe. Luda even paid homage to the late John Singleton and gave props to earning every Fast and Furious check. Plus, he threw in a nod to his signature style, the afro with sideburns. And of course, he dropped a line about addiction on the rise, giving a shout out to comedians to check their temperature. Guys, the video was a roller coaster ride with a laundry list of names: Tyler Perry, Jonathan Majors, Michael Blackson, Ricky Smiley, and a bunch more. Some responded to Katt's claims, others stayed quiet, but one thing's for sure, it was a lot to process. And you know what? When you really sit down and mull it over, he might actually have a point with some of his claims. I mean, just look at the overwhelming support he's been getting and how he's hitting new career highs. Despite all the ups and downs, Katt's still out there crushing it. But I'm curious, what's your take on all of this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and we'll catch you in the next video.